Perhaps let me just throw in a word here.
Okay.
You know, you see, the suggestion to use special courts, perhaps it's, you know, an implicit acknowledgement that a problem is serious and needs to be dealt with. But the issue is, what's wrong with the regular courts to deal with these issues?
Suppose the regular courts are overcrowded.
Now, overcrowding is a big problem with the court system. You know, Nigerian courts are overpressured, overcrowded, you know. But that's not to say that the courts don't function even with that crowding. Now,
I beg your pardon.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'll come to that.
14 years to sort out.
Yes.
14.
But madam,
so I know exactly about court process now, lasting forever.
If you establish special courts, the courts are likely to be bedeviled by the same kinds of issues and problems that made you stay in court for 14 years.
But these are special set up especially to deal with this matter.
For an important social problem. And because, just a quick one. You asked a question, so let's answer you. So what's wrong with the regular courts?
Yes.
Well, the regular courts, they have a lot of problems. They have even problems of capacity. For example, when you if the AGF suggestion, let's go beyond just the pronouncement that we need to set up special courts, where you have to empower, you have to enable the special courts. Aside from legislation, you have to build capacity, because they have to now be able, they have to now be trained in the fine points of and typologies of civil disturbances, and then what is specific law on civil disturbances, such that they can cut through all the bull, if you may, and get to the matter and dispense justice. Because, you know, they now have a special focus, they have a mandate, and all eyes are on them. So that Pygmalion effect, if you may, you know, will make them perform. But, you know, saying, because special courts are so diffuse, they don't work that well, really. They have issues of corruption. You know, so I mean, so it's so easy for people when there's let's say, look at the thing that's going on now, the Ezilo crisis, where people are shooting at people when you are driving on the Enugu-Abakalake expressway. Right. You know, and lives are being lost. Over 600 lives lost there. Good Nigerians. These could be tax-paying citizens. Increase our tax base, but you know they are gone. And so I have a problem with relying on special courts, because if on you have
courts.
On normal courts, I'm sorry, on normal courts, because if you have the special arrangement, they can now compel prosecution, because it's their mandate, it's their pot of soup. They can now say, where's the ban, where's the Ewedu to go with this stuff?
Can I comment first of all? There are two.
I beg your pardon. Now, he made a point which I would, want you to relate to your own position.
Yes, sir.
You seem to be at divergent points now. Now, you made a point that there's still a gap that needs to be filled, which is between investigation and prosecution.
Yes.
The political will to prosecute, to carry investigation to a logical conclusion is even absent, as it were. Now, if you have a special court, the court still has to wait for
investigation.
But the political will problem has been solved by the issue of special court. No, let me explain. You see, this is the way I see it, perhaps because of my training and orientation and the work I do. Now, the point is, we've been messing around with civil disturbances. We've been kind of handling it with kid glove attitude, and all this while, and it's like he said, it's been mushrooming, it's been rising, burgeoning. And claiming lives, destroying property. Now we've reached another unenviable status in the world, that in Nigeria the primary cause of disaster is the only country with that unenviable status. Now the AGF has come. He says, you know what, I have looked at this problem. Look at AGF too. He's from, is it Kogi or this thing? He's from a belt where they know a lot of civil disturbances, so he should know he is from an area where it's kind of constant. So he says, you know what, I think I have a master stroke here. Let us have a special institution, judicial institution, that will go in there and say, hey, there's this crisis in the northeast, bring those guys here. Let's deal with this matter.
No,
and then, so you see, do you see the political will now?
Doctor,
I want to make that pronouncement, and if he can get,
if he can get the enabling perhaps legislation